Yeah.
Yeah,
know
I guess
mean?
like if you're thinking about like if you go to Montrose, like everywhere in Montrose, they're all like club like atmospheres,
Right.
like full club, you know,
Yeah,
type of
As opposed to
places.
like Washington.
Or
if you go to Washington,
Yes.
every bar is pretty much trying to get the same people to go in the bar and do the same thing.
Like
You know what
Washington
I mean?
is perfect for like bar hopping. Like
Yeah.
you're
Because-
just like,
well, and your
you
bar,
want to change it a little bit, but not that much.
and I'd make the argument that Main Street is better for bar hopping. Because then you get a different bar every time you hop.
I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that
You
even
know what I
last
mean?
night, just talking about last night was so great because we bar hopped so much.
Yeah.
And every time the atmosphere completely changed. We jumped into Sunny's at first really quick. And then we stopped
Yeah.
at
Total
Flying
dive
Saucer.
bar.
Total dive bar.
Total dive bar.
For a
We were
quick
Flying
shot.
Saucer, Beer
Went to
Emporium.
Flying
Sausage.
Saucer.
Flying Sausage.
Sausage.
And then we're in an Irish pub. Then we were right outside of Dean's. Then we were at Boots and Shoots.
Boots and Shoots,
You know,
yeah.
so
Boots
like,
and Shoes was really the little sprinkle when I
Yeah.
was like, oh, we're going to Boots and Shoes. All right,
And we jumped,
let's
and it's
fucking
funny
go.
because we legit jumped in there for like 5 minutes. We were like, we want to dance a little bit, but like we don't want to sit here all night and get like sweaty and gross. We just like want to
Well,
be here and then. But like if
yeah.
we went and we wanted to find a club to dance at, like if we went to Spire or Clay or one of those other, like we can't go there and then jump into another bar right after. Like we have to get in the
like-
car and drive somewhere else and whatnot. Like
Right.
there is like no, we're gonna jump in for
Right.
5 minutes and then dip out and go and get more drinks somewhere
And
chill.
I'd make the argument that like if you were on Washington, there's no reason to bar hop. Because the next bar is just the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, you know what I mean?
Like if you want to dance, just stay at the place that you're
Yeah,
dancing
just
at.
stay
If you-
where
if you
stay
wanna
at Bottle
chill
Blonde.
and
Don't go
yeah,
anywhere
yeah,
else because the next bar is doing the same thing that you were doing
Yeah.
at the previous
Yeah.
bar. You know what I mean? With the slight exceptions like Kung Fu bars there and stuff. And
I think the other place that does well with that is right here on the east side. What I don't even know what that area would be called.
Ito. Now it's Ito.
Ito, but
That is
li-
second
like,
ward. It's just
that
second
little
ward.
square of with Miss Carousel because Miss Carousel is more like chill, so
Carousel,
now, like,
Truck
it
Yard,
gets-
Rodeo
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So,
that's
so
true.
they all change it up too. Rodeo Go is kind of like the flying saucer. It's where you can sit, you can
That's
eat,
true.
also get a drink. You know,
That's super true.
And
Truck
then you
Yard.
go like for further back, you have Chapman and Kirby. You have
Sunset, which is like upstairs, and that's
Sunset.
really popping for dancing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have Woodrow's, which is like a sports bar
Yeah.
kind of.
So
Then
I
you
think
have
that's also a
Dean's,
good
which
area.
is a nerdy bar,
I
like a
think
super
that's why
nerdy
we
bar.
like those two areas. That's where we go.
That's where we go most than anything. Well, because if I'm gonna, at least this is my rationale. If I'm gonna struggle to park, I need to make sure that the
can
next
stay
3
there.
hours that I'm
Yeah.
gonna be around can be either exactly what I want or spontaneous enough that I can get into something.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
You know
that's
what I mean?
again, I fucking go back to pastry work because we are like every time I'm like, well, where do we go? It's like, well, I have all these 3 options that are all like 20 minutes away from each other.
Right.
Whereas if we were like, oh, well, maybe we'll try this place, or maybe we want like more of this vibe, like maybe we want something like more quiet, or maybe we want something like where we can dance and stuff like that. We could always be like, whatever, we'll end up at Pastry Wars,
Right?
Because it was all buy it. But none of it was Pastry War.
Yeah,
Whereas now, like, I like Grand Prize. I like
it too.
I haven't been to Miss Carousel in literally like.
I haven't
Last
been
time I
since
went was when
since
we
the
went with
changing of
Brenda.
Yeah, I haven't been in a while because of the changing of the guard there, but
So I like Grand Prize. I like, there's whatever, but they're also fucking far away. So I'm like, well, I would have to commit to being there for the night.
yeah.
And no offense, I don't want to be there the entire night. That's so much
Also,
work.
like, there's something to be said. Like, I think Ito's doing a good job of trying to replicate that, but
I
they're
think
not there
so.
yet.
Yeah.
They're not. They still have ways to go. But I'll still take it over Midtown, and I'll still take it over Uptown for sure.
And I
I
also
don't really
think
go to
with Ito,
Midtown.
a lot of people like with Main Street, since it's just a strip, you walk past every bar.
Yeah.
With
Right.
Ito, with like that little square of them, they're
And
kind
there
of
is
all
a
like
lot
hidden.
of
So it's like
residencies.
you're really only going to the bar that it is that you know that you want to go to. I know so many people. Every time I talk about Miss Carousel, they're like, "What?" And then I say Truck Yard, and they're like, "Oh yeah." And I'm like, literally, Miss Carousel is right across the street.
It's
Right.
across the
Like
street.
you've
yeah.
seen it. If you've gone
Yeah.
to Truck Yard, you've seen
been
it.
there,
but
yeah.
you just don't like because you're just focused on Truck Yard.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times, and this hasn't happened on the east side on Ito that much. I mean, maybe a couple times, but for the most part, this is why Main Street for me is like the like gold standard for like bar hopping, in my opinion, at least in Houston. It's because every bar is eclectic enough from each other, like but like not too far off that it makes that you look at it and you're like, why is that?
That it
here?
ruins your party.
Yeah. And it all kind of like makes sense. It also caters to like the young Democrat, and it's crazy because whenever I was growing up, nobody went downtown. That downtown was not a place where you went and partied. Only like older people would go than downtown and like, you know, have a whiskey or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But now the young scene that goes and parties in downtown, it makes sense why Fabian's is a Latin bar and in front of it you can go to High and Dry, or you could have been at Pastry Wars, because it caters to like the demographics that are around. Like everybody, there's primarily there's a lot of Latin people, so you get a little bit of like Latin flavor everywhere you go. And then Houston culture is very rampant also. So then you get Natsuos, and then you get Deans that have like little weird gems of Houston culture in it. There's a lot of Asian community in Houston, so you get like the anime bar.
I know.
And you know what I mean? So there's all these little like odes to the city, and to the point that I was making earlier, I don't know how many times I was like, I don't know what to do tonight. But I'm not worried because I can start off at Pastry Wars and just chill, and like I feel at home here. And if I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette, and then if I go outside and if the vibe is right outside, or if there's the right people or the right like people, shit is popping or whatever, I can just be like, all right, I'll go over there. You know what I mean? Or vice versa. Like I could be like, let's see what I can get into. Let's see who's around. Let's see like where my friends want to go, and to start off somewhere and then be like, and then walk out and be like, let me just finish off at Pastry Wars. Whereas Grand Prize, or not that there's anything wrong with it, bars that are not on that strip, that do not have those like that serendipitous feel to them, you walk out of them and I'm like, oh, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? You walk out and you're like, all right, so I guess I'm kind of about to wrapping up.
Too
you know
much
what I mean?
work.
Right.
Because what am I gonna like if I'm 3 drinks in, what I'm gonna drive to like
whereas like even if
downtown,
you were tired, like even if you were tired at Pastry Wars or at Dean's or whatever, you walk out and you're like, dude, but it's right
my
here.
car is
next to me.
But that's what I mean.
Right
Like
here.
my car is further.
You know,
so
and just one friend being like, no, let's do like just one drink at this bar. Okay.
It's like
Fuck
alright.
it. Like and then the vibe is so different that you're just like, all right, fine. Like it's whatever.
I think one of the things that could have helped Ito with that like diversity, that I'm really so upset that they closed it. What was it? 86.
86, yes.
86,
86
yeah,
was
that because it was like
or 82 or
arcade
whatever.
bar. Or 82, I think it was 82. It was like an arcade
the one that we
bar
went to?
That it was so
I did
cool
not
because
like
they
that
had
one.
that like it was like arcade bar on one side, but then they had. I really just enjoyed the day that we went there.
It was house music. It was like a Sunday.
Sundays.
It was like
On
a Sunday.
Sundays, they had house music. So like behind the stairs, they had this little area where they had like the DJ and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was house music. So there was a whole bunch of people like
Just dancing.
dancing over there and like
Fun.
yeah, and it was like really really cool.
Like house dancing.
Yeah. Well, whenever we went, I think it wasn't a weekend because they were also like empty.
Yeah.
But I didn't. You were telling us that like the owner is from LA, and like you
Yeah.
could tell because everything was like your typical like minimalist, like clean cuts, like everything was black and everything was
Did
like
you-
blocked and
have you
all
ever
this
gone-
shit. And Brenda and I were like, I don't like this. I want to go to Pastry War.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever
These
gone
seats are
to
hard.
Cidercade?
I have been to Cidercade.
Do you like Cidercade?
I've been like twice. I think it's fun. I wouldn't.
So it's not,
I don't
it's not
think
like
of
the
it.
game thing that you're like against or anything.
No,
it was the style
no,
of the bar.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, but the thing is that I don't think of Cidercade as a bar. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I think it's an arcade for adults.
You think it's an event. It's a arcade. Yeah.
Like
you're
if
right.
I want to go to Cidercade if I want to do something different. If I'm like, oh, like I want to go have fun or whatever, but I'm not necessarily trying to go clubbing. But I wouldn't be like, I want to party today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Cidercade. Like, I'm
Yeah, I
not
would never
doing,
say that.
Like, there's
But,
children there during the week. Like, I'm not doing that.
Again, a lot of the things that I say whenever I go drinking is, am I gonna have to stay there the entire time?
Right.
Or can
But
I walk
that's
out
why-
and like and go get into something else? You know what I mean?
That's why I thought having Cidercade there would have been so wonderful, like having it stay there, because you can, like, if you want
Having
that vibe
it
for a
to
little
stay
bit
there.
and like go and do it for, but like being at Cider, like I went to Cidercade once. I don't think I would go back just because, again, I don't want to be there the whole night,
Right.
Yeah.
That's what she was
you
saying.
know? But like, I think 82 was in a great place where it's like, oh, I can go in there, have a little bit of fun, and then I'm gonna get bored and I'm gonna go somewhere else.
That's fair. I don't even remember where that bar is.
Yeah.
It was right around the corner from Miss Carousel.
Yeah.
Right next to like Vinny's.
That makes sense.
But
Yeah,
but
that
that's
makes
why
sense.
I think downtown Main Street stays undefeated. Because even
Yeah.
if you're like walking away from Main Street, there's some bars there too.
Yeah.
Like even if you're like on the other side on
Like
Fannin
on,
or
what is that, Washington? The little park? I was going to say Washington Square
Market Square Park or whatever.
Square.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if you're there, you can be at Henke and Pilot, or you
Yeah.
can be at Warren's, or there's a tiki bar that just opened up there. And then at the end of the night,
Dude,
you
we
go to
never
Frank's.
went back to that
and-
tiki bar. Do you remember that? That was also one of the first time we hung out. We went to that rum bar.
Lay low. That's a great bar.
Lalo so
That's
We need to
a
much.
great
go back
bar.
there.
That's a phenomenal bar.
I want to start going out more. Like, I do agree that I love Main Street,